like to welcome Dr. Neerja Chawla ma'am, who is a renowned gynecologist from Chandigarh. She is a gold medalist and she is the founder chairperson of IMS Digital Education Society. So I would like to hand over this virtual dice to Neerja ma'am to take it ahead. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So we are back with our Prerna, which is the brainchild of Dr. Aarti Gupta and Dr. Pushpa Kirti, the Secretary General and the President of the Indian Menopause Society. And in these last few months, it has become a really, really popular program. We always have two segments to it. One is motivational, so to say, or something to think deeply about. And the second part is on exercises or anything connected to a physical fitness. So today it's my pleasure to welcome one of our repeat offenders, Dr. Vandana R Singh. She was here with us in Prerna 6. So this is Prerna 12. And she had done a wonderful, wonderful storytelling on the Sultan story, which had a lot of learning. So we are delighted to have you back, Dr. Vandana. Dr. Vandana, for those people who do not know, is a very accomplished and widely published literary translator of Hindi to English of many famous writers. She's also the author of a best-selling book, which is titled The Bhagwad Gita, A Life-Changing Conversation, and author of several other books on English language. She has been conferred an award of recognition for outstanding contribution to literature by the Chandigarh Sahitya Academy in 2013 and is the founder of the RS Foundation, which is a philanthropic organization doing immense amount of work for health and digital literacy. So, a very little brief about how we came to this topic. So, it so happened that I had gone to my dentist, and on his side table, we had a book. So, this book was Essential Social Success Mantras. And for the women, some essential things that all women must do is to have one short black top or a tunic to wear, one long black gown, and several things in that similar vein. Of course, this was written by a very famous author with a foreword by another very famous celebrity, and it may be referred to metros, but I came across this book. And another thing that women must have is a stiletto because that works with jeans and it works with your dresses and it works with your traditional clothes. And another must have is one red lipstick, which you can work with during the day and night, and it looks fabulous. It horrified me a little bit. So as we discussed, so I inquired from Dr. Vandana because she herself is an author and a writer and a reader that how do you define feminism? Is there anything? Since she's an author of Gita, actually I was curious to ask her, does the Bhagavad Gita or any of these literature or old ancient scriptures, do they talk about how women should deport themselves and how they should appear and what is actually femininity? So I welcome Dr. Vandana to enlighten us.
Thank you. Thank you, Nirja. Thank you, Dr. Shobha, for having me here. And thank you to all of you for joining in. So, as has just been said, that today we are going to try to define femininity. And we look at attributes of femininity. We look at uh, various definitions of femininity. And most importantly, we look at who gets to decide, who decides what is feminine and what is, well, not feminine. As we know that femininity has several perspectives which keep evolving from time to time, and these might be historical, these could be cultural, and of course social. So I thought we should start right at the beginning, and I went back to the dictionary literally to see how does the dictionary define femininity. So the first thing I discovered was that the word femininity is actually femininity. So it is Mininity. But in common parlance now, we all just say femininity, and I don't think I can say femininity about 50 times in 30 minutes. So I will just say femininity. And so the dictionary describes it as the quality or nature of the female sex, or the quality, state, or degree of being feminine or womanly. So, as most of us might be knowing, that the word feminine and femininity both have their origins in the Latin word femina. And some of us might recall there used to be this woman's magazine called Femina in the 70s and 80s. And the word femina means woman or female. And the word feminine is used to describe qualities which are traditionally associated with women. And femininity refers to the overall concept of being feminine. So these words have evolved and concepts have evolved over time, and it encompasses by now a very wide range of meanings which are related to gender identity, to societal roles, and to cultural perceptions and expectations. Though the word femininity has been in use for some time now, but its origin is uncertain, and it's almost impossible to attribute this word to one person or to one time period. It seems to have evolved out of a collective social understanding of gender roles and societal expectations. Um, but I'm happy to say that while femininity has historically been associated with women, women who are biologically women or female, um, it's very heartening to see that by now gender identity and expression are becoming increasingly diverse, and the meanings of these words are constantly evolving. So, to define femininity is a subjective and nuanced task, and it can vary across cultures and geographies. So, for instance, in some societies, like in ours, for instance, um, to be feminine, आपको चूड़ी पहनना ज़रूरी है, बिंदी लगाना ज़रूरी है, लिपस्टिक लगाना ज़रूरी है, या साड़ी पहनना ज़रूरी है. But in some other cultures, it might be something else. It might be having a long neck, or having small feet, or having the middle of your nose pierced, or having your entire earlobe pierced. This could be a sign of femininity. While in some other cultures, it could be having tattoos, maybe even on your face. So it varies, and therefore the task of defining femininity becomes extremely difficult. हम आप यहाँ बैठ के कैसे ये डिसाइड कर सकते हैं कि पूरी दुनिया में, दुनिया के हर कोने में, जहाँ जहाँ पे भी विमेन रहती हैं, फेमिनिटी क्या है, ये हम और आप बैठ के यहाँ नहीं डिसाइड कर सकते. और कोई भी शायद कहीं दुनिया के किसी कोने में भी ये नहीं डिसाइड कर सकता कि क्या फेमिनिटी क्या चीज़ होती है. But still, we have our different perspectives, and we can talk about it. But yes, we have to remember that one size does not fit all. Um, Talking about what was mentioned earlier about our ancient texts, so texts such as the Vedas, the Upanishads, and epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, they contain very diverse portrayals of women and femininity. In fact, if we were to, just as an example, since we recently had the Navratras before the Shera, if you see the 9 days of the Devi, every day of those 9 days, you see the Devi in a different form. So these 9 portrayals are there for all of us to see. But beyond this, also, we have texts which depict women as goddesses, as warriors, as scholars, and sometimes in our stories, they are women with a lot of agency, and invariably our gods are shown with a consort. So there will be Vishnu and Lakshmi, and there will be Shiv, and there will be Parvati. So it seems that there is a parallel role, and that women seem to be present, at least the way we imagine our gods. In that, the women are all present. But now coming back to our current day issues, and then we will go back to the ancient texts. Um, I think one of the most problematic things that has happened in the recent few centuries, I would say, is that men decide what women should do. And when we look at things like, as Nirja just pointed out, that it's very useful for women to have a pair of stilettos because these she can use anytime, and that she must have a small black dress and a long black dress, and so on and so forth. Who is deciding all this? And what to me becomes even more problematic is that sometimes when we see things like, for instance, a beauty contest, which in itself is a problematic thing, the judges are invariably men. And now, when we do have some women judges, it's very peculiar to see that these women, in their role as judging that particular contest, they seem to become men themselves, and they apply very masculine yardsticks on the women contestants, which they may or may not like to be applied to themselves. But for that particular couple of hours, they are looking at the proportions of the woman's body, they are looking at her complexion, they are looking at the length of her hair, they are looking at what kind of eyes she has, and so on, what color of lipstick she's wearing. So somewhere the woman judge also evolves into a masculine mindset, and which is really very strange. And we also see this happening where we might have one set of ideas about femininity for our daughters, but we might have a completely set of ideas for our, maybe our daughters-in-laws, or for somebody else's daughter. So these are interesting things, and why I'm bringing this in is that it's very easy to say all the time that men are responsible for objectifying women, that men make women into sex objects, and so on and so forth. But what is really painful to see is that a lot of times women are doing it to other women also. And that is something that really needs, we need to really think about it. That when you are looking for a girl for a son, I mean, if your son gives you that time and the license to do that, then you are looking for a fair skinned girl. Then you are looking for somebody, as it used to be in the 60s and 70s, some convent educated girl, somebody from a good family. I mean, who knows what a good family means, and so on and so forth. So, this aspect of women turning temporarily into men is something I find very and peculiar is the word for it, for lack of something stronger. One more aspect of feminism, of femininity, that I want to quickly touch upon here is that there is often this interchangeability of the idea of femininity and feminism. And I think for us as women, it is very important to understand this, because femininity and feminism are two completely distinct concepts, and each has its own meaning and focus. Why I say this is that I've taught in a girls' college for a long time, and I have seen that a lot of young girls think that feminism means that they can stay out of their home till 2 o'clock at night, or that feminism means going out and drinking in a pub, or that feminism means smoking more than the men, or that feminism means wearing lesser clothes or wearing provocative clothes. To my mind, that is an extremely limited definition or understanding of feminism. To my mind, feminism, first of all, has to do with economic independence. Most importantly, it has to do with being a professional, or in some way making your life better than what it was when you started out. To me, that is the idea of feminism, and not wearing clothes that your mother did not wear, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, I have seen girls saying, very intelligent, bright girls who I thought had the right ideas, but girls saying that I will marry the guy who gives me a solitaire ring. Now, and she thinks that this is feminism because she's bold enough to say, she's bold enough to speak out her thoughts. But what are the thoughts? The thoughts are that you will marry a man who will give you the most expensive ring. So I think we need to really be very cautious here and to understand that femininity and feminism are two different things. They are not interchangeable, and yet they are not contradictory to each other. But there is a very fine nuanced difference between these two things. And the next point that I want to also mention here before we go on to the Gita is that feminism for gay people has a different meaning, and that has to be respected. It has to be respected by all of us, irrespective of our gender and our perceptions, because with societies becoming more and more diverse, with more and more gender fluidity that is coming into our system, I think we need to empower the 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 gay society to be able to express themselves in whatever might be their idea of femininity or whatever might be their idea of masculinity. And if that is not the same as ours, then we have to learn to broaden our horizons and to look at it for a while from their point of view, and to accept that this is the concept of femininity which is being enlarged, or which is being dilated, or which is gaining larger proportions, and we must accept this. And now to talk of the Bhagavad Gita. And I know we very often have this conversation in our country that in our ancient texts, women are goddesses and so on, and look what we are doing to them today, and all of those things. So one will not go into that aspect of it because I think we are all very much aware of it already. But I do want to here touch upon specifically chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, where the conversation between Krishna and Arjun is ongoing. And Krishna is at a point where he describes his infinite glories, and he gives a detailed narration of his imperishable existence and his all pervading presence. And he explains that he is present in the universe in many different forms, such as the sun, the moon, and the wind. He is present in the taste of water. He is present in the sound in space. He is the intelligence and aptitude in human beings. In short, what he's saying is that he is omnipotent, he is omniscient, he is omnipresent, and he is omnibenevolent. And uh, the sheer poetic quality of the micro description of Krishna's own omnipresence is truly enchanting. It's lyrical and it is artistic, and it is so replete with imagery that it remains with you for a very very long time. And Krishna is in a flow, and he is speaking and he's describing where all he's present and where we can find him. And out of the blue, he mentions women. This is perhaps the only time in which women are mentioned in the entire Bhagavad Gita in chapter 10. And not that people are mentioned otherwise, because the Gita, as we know, is about ideas. It's not about people. It's about ideas. It's about skills of how to live your life well. But here, he talks of women, but I will come to that. So as he's describing his omnipresence, uh, Krishna says, he says, "Oh Arjun, I am seated in the heart of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all things. Amongst the 12 sons of Aditi, I am Lord Vishnu. Amongst the Rudras, I am Lord Shankar. Amongst rivers, I am Ganga. And I am Agni amongst the Vasus, and Meru amongst the mountains. And of all the priests, he says, O Arjun, I am Brihaspati. And of all commanders, I am Kartikeya. And of all reservoirs of water, I am the ocean. And of all trees, I am the peepal tree. And amongst all acts of procreation, I am Kamdev, the god of love. So up to now, he's talking of ideas, and he's talking of people that we have not seen. Now, we have not seen Shankar, we have not seen Vishnu. But then suddenly he starts to get real. And then he says, O Arjun, I am endless time, and I am all devouring death. And I am the origin of those things that are yet to be. And perhaps because he's talking of the future, and therefore he talks of women, because it's only women who can bring the future into this world. And so in that same verse, in verse 34 of chapter 10, after saying, I am endless time and I am all devouring death, and I am the origin of things that are yet to be, out of the blue, he says, amongst women, I am fame, prosperity, fine speech, memory, intelligence, courage, and forgiveness. These are the 7 qualities in women in which Krishna is present. When I read this particular shlok, I just sat up, and my only reaction could be, wow, this is something. He is not saying that women should have large eyes, or they should have long hair, or they should have a particular kind of a body. He's not saying that women should be meek and submissive. No. He's saying women should be, and I will repeat these. And let me also try to understand what he might have meant by each of these qualities. So he says fame, which is prasiddhi, किसी चीज के लिए जाने माने जाना, किसी किसी चीज के लिए famous होना. So to earn a good name, either professionally or otherwise, to be known for something positive, to be sought after, to stand out amongst a crowd, that is fame. And if a woman can achieve there, or if a woman is working towards that, the God Krishna himself resides in that effort. He resides in that journey. And then he says, prosperity, samriddhi. Now one might think, what could one be meaning by prosperity? And so prosperity here would mean to create wealth, to live life in a manner where you improve what you were born with. Prosperity doesn't necessarily just mean making money, or being mercenary. It generally means to make your life better, to make your life more prosperous, both intellectually and otherwise, and maybe even to make your life more opulent, but then to do it through your own efforts. That is the important thing, and not to just find someone to marry who can give you all this. So that is where we go wrong with our definition of feminism and femininity and all of that. And then he says fine speech. Now, the importance of good communication skills need hardly be elaborated on. We all are aware what good communication skills mean. So, whether you are making a request, or whether you are ordering somebody, or you are looking for compliance, or you are expressing displeasure, if it is communicated well, if it is well articulated, then you can be reasonably certain of favorable outcomes. The fourth thing he talks about is memory, a sharp memory, which means a knack for memorizing facts and figures, the ability to remember names, to recall names, people and situations. It is a distinct advantage. It's an advantage over your peer group. It's an advantage over, it is an advantage at every stage and every minute of your life. And then, of course, he says intelligence. We know an intelligent person always has an advantage over everyone else. So, irrespective of your class, your gender, uh, the race, or which part of world you might come from, if you are an intelligent person, you have a natural asset. And intelligence, human intelligence, as we know, is what contributes to evolution of societies. So, not only do you make your own life better, you are contributing to the evolution of society. You are going to make the world a better place. You are going to leave it a better place than what you found it. And then he says courage, which again made me think that here they are on this battlefield and he's asking Arjun to fight and so on, and he's saying courage. What does he mean by courage here? So clearly, courage here is not about physical bravery. It's not about going out there and killing the enemy and so on. Uh, to my mind, I think courage means number one, the courage to overcome odds, to survive in adversity, um, and to me, it also means to have an inner strength and the courage of conviction to speak your mind, to support the truth no matter how inconvenient, to adopt a stance and to stay with it, to empathize, to recognize one's own shortcomings and failures, to have the courage to stand with the weak and the underprivileged. So, to me, I think this is what Krishna is saying when he says courage. And then he says forgiveness, which we know is a virtue, and but one of the most difficult things to do. It's easy to pontificate and say to others that "Chodo, bhul jao, jane do," but not so easy to do yourself. So I'll just very quickly go over these seven qualities once again: fame, prosperity, fine speech, memory, intelligence, courage, and forgiveness. So these are the seven qualities in which Krishna resides. So after reading this, the thought that came to my mind was, first of all, this was so reassuring. And the second thought was a little despondent. And I wondered that in this text, which is been put together anytime between the second and the fifth century BC. Now one can argue and one can say that, oh, we don't even know whether Arjun existed. We don't even know if Krishna was even, if he was even a thing. So that of course is a separate discussion. But the thought that stayed with me was that whether this story happened or it did not happen, whether Mahabharata is for real or whether it's not for real. But what is for real is that way back in the 5th century BC or around that time, these ideas were in existence. And someone put these ideas in this particular narrative. And this is how these ideas have reached us today. So, whether you believe in the Mahabharata story or not, whether you believe in this or not, or whether you believe in that or not, but the idea itself is so fascinating that these are the qualities that should be looked up to in a woman, and these are the qualities that women should aspire for, and they should want to work towards, and they should nurture in themselves. And the second thought, as I said, which was despondent, was that if some minds way back in the 4th or 5th century BC could think these thoughts, then at what point did descriptors like beauty, deference, subservience, obedience, how did these become the extensions of a woman's personality? What have we done with these original ideas that are there in the Bhagavad Gita and in other texts also, I'm sure? What did we do to this? What have we made of women today? And how did we even reach where we have? So I'll stop here, and I hope we can have a little discussion on this. And if there are any thoughts that you would like to share, I would be happy to hear them, and we can take this forward.
I'm very happy about this presentation because we have somewhere along our existence as women over all these years, we have got thrown by the wayside into nonsensical things, into things which are actually not important, which are actually demeaning to us
Yeah.
as women, and we have forgotten what we really represent. So I'm very happy about that. And I think Shobha can lead the further discussions. We have a question from the audience.
Yeah, let me first begin with thanking you profusely, um,
Thank you.
Vandana. What a fantastic beginning to Sunday today, that you took us all into Kurukshetra, and you made us relive the moments of the greatest gospel of truth by which we live every day. Thank you so much for bringing in so much substance into this Sunday morning. And I think um, it's really imperative that we need to repeat these facts on a regular basis, to remind ourselves that we come from this great universal truth, from the concept of this supreme being, from where the power of goodness, which gets reflected through this great script. The only place where I would kind of, not differ from you, not differ from you, but then say with emphasis that the doubt should never come whether this existed or not.
Yeah.
We should live with this, that yes, this is where we come from, and this is the eternal truth, and this is what is responsible for the universe functioning like this. And then the fact about the women being described with so much of micro detail tells us that gender equality is something that we should emphatically take forward every day in so many different ways. And you rightly gave the right messages to the younger generation. I hope that they will listen in, that femininity is not about looking decorous and looking glamorous only. Of course, that adds to the to the power of being a woman, but then
Yeah.
it is more to do with inner substance and courage and strength, and facing adversity and showing everybody the right direction. Well, I think whatever traits you described are leadership qualities which women have, and it also reflects the, what is that called? The multitasking centers in the brain that God has, originally. So I think, Vandana, that you are a wonderful asset to Prerna. And I really thank Dr. Pushpa Sethi and Dr. Aarti Gupta
Thank you.
that they have allowed this platform to flourish so much. And of course, Nija is the champion who, who brings together everybody. I'm very privileged to be part of this program. It is coming across rather as more elitist, and IMS members are like that. They are a refined set of human beings, and I'm sure everybody is benefiting fantastically. Thank you, Vandana. Only on one note is, going forward, there is a lot of in-depth characterization of Kunti, of even of Madri, and of Sita, etc., from Ramayana, and of course of Draupadi, which going forward probably sometime, it gets elaborated. Not so much of what happened to them, but how it relates to our work now and our future
Yeah.
now. They're all representatives of what we need to be doing on an everyday. So thank you very much. And the one message which needs to come out also from your this thing is that at no point of time a woman should feel as the weaker sex or the somebody who has to play a secondary role. It is an equal footing, and that is what you have conveyed. I am so happy that you were here, Vandana. Dr. Aarti's messages, please, and Dr. Nirjas. Thank you so much.
I just want to quickly respond. When you said about believing or not believing, and I, whenever I speak of the Bhagavad Gita or about my book, I am very cognizant of the fact that it is not everybody's belief, and so therefore, I do not want to assume that everyone has that faith, and so I feel that it makes me feel better to add that one line, and to say that whether you believe in it or you do not believe in it, but these ideas are so wonderful that how can they be rejected? So whether one believes in the backstory or not, that is an individual personal decision. But I don't think anyone anywhere in any part of the world can reject any of these ideas. There is no way that these can. But thank you so much for your very kind words. It's an honor for me to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
We very quickly, I think we had a couple of raised hands.
There is a question in the chat box also.
Yeah, in Gita, Guru Granth Sahib Ji, in Christianity also, the man is the one source of all. He is the source of everything, is the man, and all the entities, all the life forms are his women. So this audience
this is a comment in the chat
comment in
box.
the
Vandana,
chat
would
box.
you like to respond?
Would you like to respond? Yes.
Yeah. So. As I understand, I think what is being said here is that the man has the central role uh, in every culture and in every ancient text. So yes, that is very very true, and that is the reason why this particular verse in the Gita stands out, because otherwise all the references are to men. It's always about the role of a man, the role of man in society, man on the battlefield, man here and there, and there is hardly ever any mention of women. It's as though they don't exist. So that is the reason for which you are saying that men are omnipresent, literally. uh, um, uh, this is the one instance where women are the focus, and an entire shlok is devoted to women, and that is why this caught my eye, and I felt that this must be highlighted and this must be talked about more. Thank you.
Dr. Revati Jana Kiram, she has just put a comment. I'm just reading it out. Self-esteem is very important for women.
Yeah.
So I think there's no other comment.
No, there is Dr.
I
Archana
think
Singh's
just
hand.
a word, please. See,
Yeah.
actually, when we are talking about women and we are doing a lot of things for women's health and other things, we have to motivate them to improve their self-confidence. That area also we have to concentrate apart from the menopausal health and mental health and other things. Okay. So gaining the self-confidence, that is very, very important for women. We have to promote that area also.
So, Vandana ji, with that, we are so happy that you came on today. And Nirja, you have anything to say, or shall I ask Dr. Aarti to introduce the next speaker?
You know, when Vandana finished her talk, and I was supposed to just say a few words before moving on, I was so speechless.
Correct.
I was so thoughtless.
Today was very good.
Yeah, because I really think that we need to tell all our women friends and colleagues that this is what it is. No, don't actually. There are times in our medical field when somebody comes to us and says, "My husband is not happy. Can you do this kind of surgery or that kind of surgery?" There are times when I tell them, "Change your husband." like aging and whatever these processes are, they will happen, and the core essence of the woman remains so beautiful. How can we go after these, whatever? So let's move on to the next session.
Yeah,
Thank
let
you,
us
Vandana.
move on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vandana, again. And